Sofian Amrabat must be wondering why he chose Manchester United, because Manchester United have been keeping him hanging for weeks now. For a club the size and stature of United, they have not been able to close a deal worth around 30 million. Let's face it, that is embarrassing. There's Chelsea on the other hand throwing money at clubs like it's on fire, and we're sat here waiting to smash our piggy banks to see if we have enough change to go out there and make an offer for Amrabat. I reported 3 weeks ago that Manchester United had agreed personal terms with Amrabat. We heard from a very reliable source 3 weeks ago that personal terms had been agreed. Welcome back to the Man United stream, hope you're all doing well. It's 16th of August 2023 and we have now seen all the Premier League teams in action in the first week of the Premier League. Manchester United were one of the last matches in this first week of fixtures. We all watched on as Manchester United struggled to dominate the game against Wolves at Old Trafford, and many would say that Wolves had the better chances of the game. In fact, we had a huge fallout since the game from upset fans saying that Manchester United did not play well enough. I must admit, my initial reaction watching the game and the day after was exactly the same as most fans. The performance was not good enough. But time is a healer and it allows you to revisit the game and look through it again and see what Man United were doing and why we looked so open against Wolves, who kept running through onto our goal and threatening Onana again and again. Now, I'm not a micro-analyst of football games and I'm not a fan of breaking down games into seconds and assessing every move a player made and why. For me and many other fans, the game is pretty simple. These days you have so many people trying to overcomplicate this simple game. That even includes managers, coaches, players and fans. But personally, I sometimes feel we overemphasize the tactics that the team is playing and the style they're using and what they're doing on the ball and off the ball. But before I go into it, please hit that like button on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. But let's take a look at what Manchester United, I felt, were doing in this game against Wolves. Traditionally, in recent years, we've seen many teams come to Old Trafford and sit back and defend their goal with at least 2 banks of 4. So that's at least 8 players at all times behind the ball. And this, we all know, is really hard for United to break down. We've seen many teams in the past come to Old Trafford and do this to United. And United have tried to play against this by playing a calm, slow build-up type of game from the back and hope that the other team will make a mistake or move out of position and then they can strike and get behind them and get a goal. But this makes it a very boring game to watch. I want you to think back when we had Van Gaal as manager. We'd sit there watching United teams pass the ball from side to side all through the game and not doing anything to pressure the other side. Now, I believe that Ten Hag knew that Wolves will come and defend for their lives in this opening game. I believe that is why he instructed the entire team, including the 2 centre-backs, to play very high up on the pitch, so that United could place Wolves under immense pressure and win the ball back high up and then transition the defence into attack in rapid time and score. Of course, playing this high press tactic would leave you very open at the back and open to counterattacks, and that is exactly what we saw Wolves do. Now, for most United fans, this was uncomfortable watching. We as Manchester United are not used to leaving this much space behind our defenders. But if you watch Ten Hag during the game, he was very comfortable knowing that this is what he expected. But I've heard lots of fans come out and complain that the Manchester United team and players were so high up the pitch and it was reckless. But we would also complain if Manchester United sat back and didn't press either. It's the way Ten Hag wants his teams to play, and we will get used to it and we will start to love it, and we will begin to see how Manchester United pressure teams and break them down high up the pitch and transition quickly and rapidly from defence to attack, and most importantly get a goal at the end of this. Now, playing this system and tactic with Rashford as striker is not ideal, but once we have an out-and-out striker in the team with Rashford on the left, we will see the full benefit of this high press. But please, let us know your thoughts as fans of Manchester United. What did you think of the game and the tactics? Are you happy with what you saw? What would you change if you were the manager of Manchester United? Would you want Ten Hag to play it differently? I believe personally that we need to let Ten Hag play his system and stick with what he knows best. He has done this at Ajax, he knows it works, and I think it will work at Manchester United. We just need to get the players working on this system for a longer period of time. I can see massive positives in this game, and I feel confident for Saturday's game against Spurs. Now let's jump into the transfer news, because probably these are the most important 2 weeks of the transfer window for Manchester United this summer. Manchester United have done most of their transfer business. That was straightforward already, with 3 players already coming in. I've been telling you that the fireworks are yet to go off, and I still believe that we're still heading towards a final climax, a final finale of fireworks to go off near the transfer window closure. We have had a crazy few days of transfer news elsewhere, Chelsea buying every player that moves, and Neymar, as I predicted, taking a huge final payday and moving to Saudi. But I still feel clubs are not showing their hands just yet, and there will be an explosion of business near the end of the transfer window. I feel United will go out and buy at least 2 or 3 new players. I'm hearing from sources that Manchester United have lined up players and are still working behind the scenes on these transfers. Yesterday we had the breaking news that Harry Maguire moving to West Ham had fallen through, because Maguire wanted Manchester United to pay him the rest of the money he was due under his contract before leaving. Now, I must admit, on hearing this made me very angry, and you must have noted this in yesterday's show. I was not in a good mood. But then, having time to think about it, I realised that it wasn't Maguire's problem. This wasn't Maguire's making. We were blaming the wrong person. Maguire was just doing what most of us would do, asking for the money that he is due. Harry Maguire is asking the club to stick to what they said that they would pay him. We all know West Ham will not be paying Harry Maguire what he's getting at Manchester United under his contract agreed by the Glazers and agent Woodward. And from reports we're hearing that he is due a large payoff in the region of 7 to 15 million, and he wants that payoff before he leaves for West Ham or any other club. Now United, or more like the Glazers, need to pay him off and allow Harry Maguire to leave. This is not a Ten Hag problem, this is a Glazer problem. They need to get him out, but the Glazers will not want to pay him because this is the way the Glazers operate. But I still feel that they will end up paying him, and I feel Maguire will leave by the end of this transfer window. Maybe not to West Ham, but he will be leaving, so let's wait and see. If Harry Maguire doesn't leave by the end of the transfer window, well, God help him, because no fan is going to be happy with him. And he needs to ask himself the question, is it worth throwing his whole career, legacy and England captaincy down the drain for what? For this money? It's unclear how much money Harry Maguire is actually requesting Manchester United to pay before he leaves for West Ham. So it's hard to make a comment on this or pass judgment right now until we do not get the full facts of what is going on with Harry Maguire and what he's asking for. Moving on to the longest transfer of the summer, and Manchester United are the best at long summer transfers, better than any club. They love doing these long drawn out summer transfers, and it's Sofyan Amrabat in this year's summer transfer. Now, Sofyan Amrabat must be wondering why he chose Manchester United, because Manchester United have been keeping him hanging for weeks now. For a club the size and stature of United, they have not been able to close a deal worth around 30 million. Let's face it, that is embarrassing. There's Chelsea on the other hand throwing money at clubs like it's on fire, and we're sat here waiting to smash our piggy banks to see if we have enough change to go out there and make an offer for Amrabat. I reported 3 weeks ago that Manchester United had agreed personal terms with Amrabat. We heard from a very reliable source 3 weeks ago that personal terms had been agreed. Given how cheap Amrabat was going for and how other clubs like Liverpool and Bayern were also looking at him, we thought that Manchester United would get this deal done quickly and within a week of agreeing personal terms. But here we are 3 weeks later and nothing has changed. Imagine Amrabat. What must be going through his head? What we discovered from Monday night's game against Wolves is that Manchester United cannot rely solely on Casemiro. He will get into trouble this season because he loves going to ground every chance he gets. He does not hold back, and that's why we love Casemiro. But he will get suspended at least once during this season. at least once. So we need someone that can come in and slot into that position immediately, hence why we need Amrabat. And there will be times where we'll need to play both Amrabat and Casemiro together. The Premier League is like no other league. It's very physical and you cannot have many players like Bruno in the middle of the pitch. Bruno is a luxury player and a club can play one player like that only. We cannot have two players of the same build and the same quality on the pitch at the same time. You need strong physical players in the middle of the park. Let me know what you think. How should Manchester United be lining up? It's really interesting this because there's so many different choices we've got here right now. United need to pull their finger out and go and get Amrabat. Ten Hag asked for him weeks ago and we've heard that the club fed him the line of the whole FFP rubbish and then told him that they need to wait on selling Fred and others. Well, that has happened, but we still have had no movement on the Amrabat deal. United were moving like clockwork early on in the transfer window, but it seems that they've just stumbled back into the old Manchester United ways when it comes to transfers. We've lost track of the players we need to bring in. Over the weekend we were all excited about signing a new defender and began comparing defenders, and United even inquired about Pavard and we looked close to making a move for him. But since Harry Maguire's issue yesterday, it seems that has gone all out of the window. But let's hope in these 2 weeks remaining in the transfer window, the United management team and the transfer team can get moving once again and get some major signings done. I'm getting a feeling that something is in motion and we need to watch carefully. United will be making moves, so don't get down too quick. Make sure you hit that like button on the video and subscribe so you do not miss any breaking Manchester United news. You were watching the Man United stream, a channel by the fans for the fans.